You did this the last time you hugged a woman, and she felt it before your arms even touched her. Most men over 50 have been going in for hugs their entire lives and walking away without realizing what just happened. Not what they felt, what she felt. And those two things are completely different. Here is what no one ever told you. A hug is not a gesture. It is not a polite social ritual. It is a full psychological evaluation that she runs in under 3 seconds. Her nervous system reads your body before her mind processes anything at all. And depending on what she senses in that approach, that angle, that pressure, that timing, she decides whether you are the kind of man she feels safe with or the kind of man she needs to keep a wall around. This was never your fault. Nobody sat you down and explained this. Not your father, not your friends, not any book you ever read. You were told to be confident, be a gentleman, be present. But what does that actually feel like inside a hug? That is what we are going to talk about today. Stay with me until the fourth point. That one changes the way women experience you at a level most men never reach. If that matters to you, tap like right now so this reaches the men who need it. Welcome to this channel, where we decode the hidden psychology of connection and give men over 45 the understanding they were never handed. Research in attachment psychology shows that physical closeness activates the same neural pathways as trust. Dr. James Cone at the University of Virginia found through his social baseline theory that physical proximity, done correctly, signals to the nervous system that you are safe, that you are not a threat, that the other person can lower her guard. Women are not analyzing this consciously. It happens before thought. Her amygdala reads your approach and decides protection or danger, comfort or caution. That decision happens before a single word is spoken, before your arms close around her shoulders, before she even smells your presence. Most men spend decades wondering why some interactions felt warm and close, while others felt polite and distant. They replay conversations, wondering what they said wrong. But more often than not, the answer was not in the words at all. It was in a moment like this one, a moment most men never even think about. This is not about manipulation. This is about understanding the psychology of how real connection happens between two people. So let us talk about what women actually feel in those 3 seconds, and what you should never do and what you should always do instead. The first thing women feel before a hug begins is what psychologists call approach energy. It is not about how fast you move or how slow. It is about certainty versus hesitation. There is research in social psychology, particularly in work done by Dr. Albert Mehrabian on nonverbal communication, that shows the approach, the movement toward another person, communicates intent before contact is ever made. A hesitant, sideways, half-committed approach reads to the female nervous system as social awkwardness at best and anxiety or agenda at worst. Neither of those feelings produces warmth. What produces warmth is directness without aggression. A relaxed, unhurried, forward-facing approach that says without words, I am glad to see you. I am not performing. I am not second-guessing myself. I am just here. Think about what that feels like from her side. She does not have to navigate your uncertainty. She does not have to manage your emotions. She can simply receive the greeting. And that ease, that absence of social labor, creates something women describe as relief. Not just comfort, relief. Imagine this. You are at a gathering. Across the room, she notices you before you have even made your way over. She watches the way you move through the space. Not fast, not slow. Grounded. When you reach her, there is no awkward lean, no quick sideways squeeze. You face her fully. Your shoulders are open. Your eyes are warm. And before she has even processed whether she expected this or not, her body has already relaxed. That is approach energy done right. This communicates something deeper than friendliness. It communicates, I am not afraid of you. I am not afraid of myself. And that is safe. Now here is what most men do instead. And this is the first thing you should never do when going in for a hug. They go in sideways. The half hug, the one arm over the shoulder press that keeps one side of the body turned away. Psychologists describe this as a distancing posture. It feels informal, but it reads as ambivalence. Her nervous system picks up a message you never intended to send. I am not fully here. And women, whether they can name it or not, feel that. The second thing women feel is duration imbalance. And this one surprises most men when they first hear it. Research in effective touch, the science of how touch creates emotional bonds, shows that the length of a hug matters enormously, but not in the way most people think. Dr. Tiffany Field at the Touch Research Institute at the University of Miami has spent decades studying how touch affects the neurological and emotional states of humans. Her research consistently shows that brief, perfunctory touch creates neutral or even slightly negative emotional states, while sustained, attentive contact creates genuine feelings of connection and well-being. But here is the part most men miss. Duration only produces warmth when it matches her willingness. A hug that goes 1 second longer than she was open to does not feel warm. It feels like she had to wait for it to end. And her nervous system logs that as a small violation of social trust. So what do? You learn to feel the moment she begins to ease out, not when she physically pulls away. Before that, there is a moment, a subtle shift in breath, a slight change in shoulder tension, where she has received what she needed from the contact. And the man who releases at that exact moment, without being told, without being pulled away from, that man creates something she will remember without being able to explain why. Imagine this. She is saying goodbye at the end of an evening. The hug is warm, her arms are genuinely around you. And then, just as she begins to breathe out fully, you ease back, gently, before she had to. She looks at you for a second and something in her expression says, you paid attention. That moment, that is not a hug ending. That is trust being built. This communicates, I am paying attention to you, not to what I want, to you. None of this works without genuine care for the person in front of you. A man going through the motions will never get this right. The nervous system is not fooled by technique. It responds to presence. And presence is something you either bring or you do not. Let us talk about the third thing women feel. And this is the one that is most misunderstood. It is called grounding contact. And it is about where and how you make physical contact when you hug. Psychologists who study attachment and safety in touch, particularly those working from the framework of polyvagal theory developed by Dr. Stephen Porges, describe something called neuroception. It is the nervous system's unconscious surveillance of the environment for cues of safety or danger. And it operates through physical sensation as much as through visual or auditory signals. What this means in practice is that the part of the back where your hand rests during a hug is not neutral. A hand placed high on the shoulder blades, open and steady, activates feelings of comfort and protection. It registers as strength that is not demanding anything. It registers as, I am here. A hand placed low, or a hand that moves, or fingers that press rather than simply rest. These activate a completely different response. The nervous system reads movement in uncertain places as surveillance, as reaching for something. And that produces a subtle but real withdrawal, even if she never says a word about it. Imagine this. A woman in her mid-50s told me something I have never forgotten. She was describing a man she had met at a mutual friend's dinner party. She said the hug was the first thing that told her everything she needed to know. She said he placed one hand high on her back, open, still, like he was just holding space for her. And she said she felt, and I want you to hear this word, anchored. Not held, not grabbed, anchored. She said, that feeling told me he was a man who had nothing to prove. That is what grounding contact communicates. Not attraction, not interest, something quieter and more powerful than both. Safety. And this is where I want to stop for a moment, because something important needs to be said. A word of caution. Everything in this video only works when warmth is genuine. When the intention behind the touch is respect and care, the nervous system reads that. When the intention is performance, when a man is running through steps because he read something somewhere, she feels that too. Women sense the difference between presence and pretense at a level that bypasses logic. If your intention is not honest, none of this will land the way it should. If this is resonating with you, consider subscribing. Every video on this channel goes deeper into what she is really feeling and what becomes possible when a man truly understands it. Now we reach the fourth point, the one I mentioned at the beginning, the one most men never learn because no one ever frames it this way. It is called the landing breath. And when you understand it, everything changes. There is a phenomenon in psychophysiology, the study of how psychological states produce physical responses, where two people who are genuinely at ease with each other begin to unconsciously synchronize their breathing. This is called respiratory entrainment, and it has been documented in studies on couples, close friends, and individuals in states of deep social trust. When it happens, both people feel a surge of what neuroscientists call social safety, a felt sense of being understood, being welcome, being chosen. Here's the thing. Most men breathe in when they go in for a hug. The approach itself, the moment of physical contact, triggers a slight intake of breath. This is completely natural. It is a mild activation response, but it creates a subtle tension in the upper chest and shoulders that she feels the moment her body makes contact with yours. It is the opposite of calm. It is the physical signature of someone who is slightly braced for impact. The men who are most deeply comfortable in their own skin, and I want you to understand this is not about age, not about looks, not about status. these men do something different. They breathe out on the approach, slowly, without performance, just a quiet, unhurried release of breath. And what that does to the body is remarkable. The shoulders drop by a few millimeters, the chest opens rather than closes. The grip of the arms when they come feels expansive rather than tightening. She does not know what changed. She cannot name it. But her body has just received a signal that says, this man is at peace. And the effect of that signal, that one small shift in breath, is that her own nervous system begins to do the same thing. She exhales. She settles. She arrives in the hug rather than tolerating it. Imagine this. You are greeting someone you care about at the door. As you step toward her, instead of holding your breath without realizing it, you simply let it go. Your whole body eases. Your arms open wide and relaxed. And when she comes into that space, she does not feel like she is being received into tension. She feels like she is coming home to stillness. And she will stand there a moment longer than she planned to. Not because she decided to, because her body did not want to leave that feeling. This communicates something that no amount of grooming, no perfectly chosen outfit, no witty conversation can replicate. It communicates, I am not anxious about you. I am not needy of you. I am simply glad you are here. Research in emotional contagion, the scientific study of how emotional states are transmitted between people, shows that regulated, calm emotional states are among the most attractive signals a person can project. Dr. Elaine Hatfield, whose work on emotional contagion is foundational in social psychology, demonstrated that humans unconsciously mirror the emotional state of the people they are close to. When a man brings genuine physiological calm to a moment of contact, the person he touches begins to mirror that calm. And in that mirroring, she associates the feeling of peace with his presence. That association, built moment by moment, is how some men become unforgettable without being loud, without being aggressive, without ever competing for attention. Most men will never understand this because they are thinking about what to say next, or how they appear, or what she might be thinking. But the men who do understand it, the men who have learned to be genuinely present in a physical moment rather than performing one, these men create something she carries with her long after the conversation ends. There is one more thing, and this is the close. A hug is a language. It speaks before you do, and it stays after you leave. Every moment of physical greeting is a silent conversation. And like every conversation, what matters most is not technique. It is truth. Are you actually glad to see her? Are you actually present? Are you bringing your full self into that 3-second moment? Or are you showing up halfway while your mind is somewhere else? This is about understanding and respect, not control or not manipulation. The man who masters this is not the man who has memorized a list of steps. He is the man who has learned to value the other person enough to be truly present with them, to breathe with them, to read them, to release them at the right moment, to make them feel without words that they are safe in his presence. Most men will never take the time to understand this. They will go through the rest of their lives wondering why some connections felt warm and others felt like nothing. But you came here, you stayed. You are learning things that very few men ever slow down enough to discover. If this connected with something real in you, leave a comment with the word anchor below. That single word tells me this reached you, and it helps this channel reach other men who are ready for this kind of depth. Subscribe if you have not already. Tap the bell so you do not miss what comes next. Because in the next video, we are going to go even deeper into the moment that comes after the hug. The 3 seconds when she decides whether she wants to stay close to you or create distance. And what determines that decision will surprise you.